Yes, guys, so exciting! We finally managed to find them. It seems like they moved from roughly where we were looking for them a few moments ago, and they've come all the way down here. So the guys said to us earlier, and I apologize for being for too long on the radio. I was just trying to figure out the directions of where they had last been, where they were last seen by some of the guides in the area. So it seems like they carried on moving all around. But yay, so they gave us good directions, and it seems like these guys didn't really move all that much further. So super exciting, because we've got the Nkuhuma Pride over here today, which I'm very happy to see, because, well, they've been a bit elusive and I haven't had a chance to see them since I came back from leave. So good to see you all. I know you guys are sleeping and you're very happy, but I think I'm happier than all of you in your sweet sleep. So we've got, it seems like one of the cubs over there, then one of the adults around here, and then of course that beautiful bunch of lions. Somebody's sort of waking up. One of the cubs. Have you got a bit of an itchy paw there? Oh, they are sleeping beautifully. So from what I can count, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 females that I can see. And I can see 3 cubs for now. I'm sure the other ones are around. We just don't want to move around too much now that we found them, because we don't really want to disturb them. But I'm sure they're here somewhere, because the grass is a bit long, and if they're just sleeping further behind the bushes to our left, then we won't be able to see them too much from here. But exciting news, the Nkuhumas are still here. Isn't that sleeping in style? I think that's a proper sleepy kitty. I think it's one of my favorite things that lions do when they sleep with all 4 legs in their belly, or they just sleep on their backs with the belly facing the sun. It's just such a happy way of sleeping, isn't it? Nothing to worry. And they are out in the sun, and despite that it is a bit warmer this afternoon, there's also a very nice cold breeze coming around. So I'm sure that's helping them just stay in the area that they're in, and instead of going somewhere else where it's a bit warmer. Seems like somebody's got a bit of a, I don't know if that's a bit of mud or if it's a wound that she's got down there. I think maybe it looks like a wound, doesn't it? Like another bite mark. Nothing to worry about, really. Seems like our lions are quite sleepy, so we're gonna accompany them while they sleep around, see if perhaps they do wake up in a little while. But while we do that, let's go over to Scott, who's managed to find some very playful hyena. How exciting! Maybe I think the lions over here didn't like the fact that the hyenas were having all of the attention in the Mara. Because we've got one of the girls sticking her head up now, looking very regal as usual. Hello. I wonder what it is that you're listening to. So it's just always very good proof that even when we think that they're fast asleep, the minimum noise can just make them aware of what's happening. So I'm sure there was something in the distance that caught her attention. Maybe something she heard, something she smelled, because her head went up and she faced in that direction. I don't think, however, there's much to worry about, because I don't think she's still quite sleepy. Maybe this is like her version of midnight. She's been walking until maybe around 8 o'clock in the morning today. That's roughly the time where you guys left her. Hey, around about 8. Yeah. So she hasn't been sleeping for all that long, considering lions can sleep between 16 to 20 hours in a day. I don't think she's had enough beauty sleep to carry on. Oh, you beautiful girl. Nick, you're 4 years old and you're wondering when the lions are going to wake up. Well, this one is almost awake, but I'm sure she's gonna go back to sleep. But normally when the sun starts going down, once it starts becoming night, that's when the lions start moving and waking up. Funny. When we work, they sleep, and when we sleep, they work. Hello, beautiful girl. It's always impressive with this Nkuhuma Pride. They always look so healthy, and in comparison to some of the other lions that I've seen, they always seem to be, these females, so fit and just in general good condition. Ah, nice stretch over there, hey? Oh, I think this is the female that has got that wound It seems almost like a bite mark. I don't think there's much to worry about. It is an ugly wound, but I'm sure she'll be able to recover from that. Lions are quite sturdy animals, and they can come back from much worse wounds than that. Does seem like there was another predator, I think another lion, that actually inflicted that wound, so I wonder what it is. Ah, hello. Nice big yawn. Oh. Those very powerful canines that you just showed us. Hello, girl. Are you going to... This is quite a scary experience sometimes, having a lion looking straight at you and then starting to lick their lips like that and be like, yummy, yummy, yummy. Of course, I am just joking. They wouldn't do anything to us. They haven't showed any sign of aggressive behavior to us, and I think they're more used to us, like a giant big rug that moves around. So she's carried on with her day. She's busy grooming herself, and I wonder if perhaps they're going to start moving a bit earlier on today. They are all in general looking quite skinny, and not skinny in the way that they are looking unhealthy, but they're looking like they need to go and get some food. And I know that it seems like this morning they were busy hunting or at least approaching food. Oh, hello. And this is a very good indication or potential indication that they're going to start getting active. Normally when they yawn and then they start grooming themselves, it could indicate that one of them is going to start moving in. In most cases, once one wakes up and starts moving around, then the rest of them tend to start doing it as well. Although I am surprised because it's a bit early to start moving around for you guys, but not that you will see me complaining. Oh, I'm sure some of these screenshots are coming out beautifully. There we go once more. Wonderful, all those teeth. Incredible. Now, the way she's grooming herself, she needs to get rid of all the little dirt and possibly all the little pieces of meat, if she had any from the last kill, any parasites, any ticks from in between her toes. You see she's trying to get something there, like a domestic cat would. And as they start looking around there and they start cleaning themselves, once she uses something there that's bothering you. I think maybe there is a tick down there. Like normal cats and dogs, they get lots of ticks in between their toes where the skin is a bit maybe thinner, where the ticks can very easily attach themselves and then start sucking their blood. But it is wonderful to see it so up close. I think you got a bit of grass in your mouth. Katerina, you're wondering if there is a common disease that lions get. Well, in this area, as far as I know, one of the most common diseases that lions have is bovine tuberculosis. So they get it from eating buffalo that have tuberculosis, especially when they start. Tuberculosis is a bacteria that pretty much nests in the lungs of the buffalo. So when they hunt the buffalo down and they eat the buffalo and then subsequently all their organs, in particular the lungs, then that's sometimes when they get it. So they are carriers of the disease. They won't necessarily die from it, but it affects them and it leads to somewhat of a loss of condition. And every so often you will see lions sometimes walking and they get this very big, they look like abscesses on their joints and on their elbows. So that is a good way of recognizing an individual that could have TB. Also, there are lots of studies that have been done in the area, and there's another bacteria that flutters around during the winter time. It's anthrax. So it's quite a deadly spore that lives in the wild world that affects pretty much all of the herbivores, but somehow it seems like it doesn't have that much of an effect in carnivores. And lions are one of the creatures that are known to be carriers. However, they don't present any symptoms, and they will perhaps lose a bit of condition because of this bacteria in their body, but they won't, not bacteria, sorry, this spore in their body, but they won't die necessarily from it, unlike some of other creatures like hippos and impalas and other antelope. Seems like we are busy having a bit of a grooming session. We've got as well a second female that's decided to wake up. There we go, and I think she is cleaning her wound. So definitely in that area where she had those bite marks, she's just keeping the wound clean. And by doing this, she's preventing any... It looks quite deep, I'm sorry. She's preventing any bacteria, soil, or anything from going in there and potentially just causing a bit of an infection. It does seem to be a deep wound, but it doesn't seem to be too serious. We'll see now once she starts moving. We can have a bit of a better look there. So definitely she's been bitten by something. But lions are very resilient animals, and it's incredible to see just how many injuries they can sustain, and they'll carry on being lions and fighting and dominating everyone around. Now, I know you guys saw them walking this morning, and how was she walking, Sam? Was she walking fine?
Yeah, kind of.
Maybe
she was a bit in pain.
Oh, sorry. I'm just gonna put on my jersey because I'm getting cold. So perhaps she was a bit in pain and she will have a bit of a limp, but I think it won't affect her all too much. I think she'll be just fine, and I'm pretty sure she will recover from it. Doesn't seem to be too bad, and what she's doing now, that's perfect. She's just like grooming herself, making sure that the wound is clean and that there aren't any other agents around that might go in there and perhaps cause a bit of an infection. Hello. Lisa, you're wondering if lions get any kind of dental diseases. Well, I'm sure they get cavities like some of the other creatures do. However, I'm not too sure if they get any other types of diseases. I do know that sometimes they develop some problems in their canines, and they would have the equivalent of a root canal infection. I'm sorry, I'm not too good with dentistry, but I'm not too sure if perhaps other than that, if they get any other dental diseases or dental problems. I think you haven't decided if you want to go back to sleep or if you actually want to be awake, do you? And she's gone back to sleep. She's all the way back down. Doesn't seem to be too bothered. Oh, what a wonderful afternoon in this golden light with all these beautiful creatures. Well, there we go. Well, we keep these sleepy lions some company, because I think maybe they're gonna go for a second bout of sleeping. Let's go over to Scott and the Mara, who's managed to find one of the biggest birds around. Well, now this is exactly what we look, or the print of this is what we look on the sand every morning when we start out driving and when we start looking for these beautiful creatures. So not too different from the one of a domestic cat, and if you've got a cat, I would invite you just to grab it by the leg. I'm sure your cat's not going to be too impressed, and have a look. That's pretty much exactly what a lion print and a lion paw feels like, just a slightly bigger, of course, than your normal domestic cat. But you see no claws around there, and that's why we don't see any claws when they are stepping on the sandy soils, or pretty much on any type of soil as we move around, because they keep them inside of their little pouches, and they only exert pressure to take them out, just also to prevent them from going blunt. I love when they sleep like this. Isn't this wonderful? I think this is a true sign of happiness, or just pure bliss for a lion, when you can just sleep belly up, paw on the side, and not really worry about anything else coming your way. Well done, girl. She might have to start cleaning herself again to keep that wound clean. Tina on Safari, you're wondering if the lionesses in a pride are all related, how is inbreeding prevented? Well, it's a very clever way of, so inbreeding, let's start with that, is when family members that are, let's say, brothers or uncles and sisters, they start mating with one another. So you will not have a new gene pool or new genes coming into the pride. So the way that nature prevents inbreeding, and it's pretty much preventing the males that are born in the pride to mate with the females that are born into the pride. Now, it doesn't work every single time. However, it depends on a number of things. But in this particular case, or in an ideal situation, what would happen is the males would push away the young males that are born into the pride, and the females will also become less tolerant of them around. And these young males will then become nomadic for a few years until they manage to settle themselves somewhere entirely different, where they can pretty much claim a territory and a pride for themselves. Now, the Birmingham boys, they were not born in this area, and they are not related to this one. So they just came from somewhere else. They were kicked off by the Birmingham Pride. I believe it's the pride that they were born into. And then they carried on moving into this general area. And if I'm not mistaken, they actually came from the Timbawati. Now, once they've come into this area, they've pushed out all of the other males that were here, and they've mated with the Nkuhuma females, the pretty girls that we're looking at here. And now, I think there's only one male cub in this pride at the moment, but once that male gets older, probably in the next year and a half or so, the males and the females are going to push him away, and he's going to have to go and find a territory for himself, but he's only going to be able to do that in a few years' time. So if, for example, if he finds another male lion that is roughly the same age, that's looking a bit lonely, he might join up with that particular male and form a coalition. So in that way, just by kicking the males out of this area where they were born into, then you'll make sure that all of these genes from this particular pool are spread and they go somewhere else instead of remaining here. However, having said this, it doesn't always happen that way. Lion dynamics are very interesting and sometimes not predictable at all. Now, for example, there's a very famous pride of lions in the southern Sabi sand, which used to be just one adult female and two young males, and I'm talking about the Charleston Pride. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, where we had a bit of a case of inbreeding, or at least could have potentially have a slight case of inbreeding, because these particular young males, they were raised by their aunt, and when they came of age, because there were no males in that particular area to push them out, or it was just the one female, they ended up mating with their aunt and sire, and now are pretty much the fathers of their aunt's cubs. So you can see where it gets a bit tricky in terms of the politics. And there was another pride of lions not too far from there, and that also it used to be known as the Sand River males, or as the Hilda's Rock Pride males. I think they also mated with their mother and their aunt, and then they had cubs again in that area. And because by the time that they were old enough, there was a pride takeover, and there weren't any strong males around to kick them out and prevent the inbreeding from happening. So in the natural world, this is why males often get pushed off of the area where they are born into, and it doesn't really matter if the females stay around here for too long, because the males are the ones that are going to start, or the males that get pushed out, they are the ones that are going to carry the genes into a new area. It is quite complicated, isn't it? It sounds like something that's come out of Game of Thrones. Andy, you're wondering how far from their home area will a male travel? Well, it depends. Sometimes they don't have to travel too far. Sometimes maybe a couple hundred kilometers. It depends on area and the pre-existing lion prides in the area. So, for example, if the young male in this pride comes of age, let's put it that way, and the Birmingham males are still territorial around here, and then if we go further south, we've got the Majingalans, and then perhaps even the Avoca males, he might have to move quite far away until he finds an area where he can actually start matching or start competing for the rights to have that pride. So it's very much area dependent. Sometimes they don't even get pushed out of the herd and they stay where they were born, and sometimes they will have to travel a couple hundred kilometers. I remember we had some of the young males that were born in the Southern Pride, I think, and this was in the 2013, that ended up going all the way from the Southern Sabi Sand to pretty much the Timbawati, which is quite a distance, a couple hundred kilometers. Yeah, you don't really want to do that long trek right now, do you? John, you're wondering if female lions can kill cubs like the males do. At but it happens less often because the females just pretty much stay with their own pride and protect their cubs. But if they were to bump into another's pride's cubs, then yes, I've seen it happen, unfortunately, and it's quite a horrific event. But they will kill other lion cubs that, in general, they would just kill other lions that are not in their pride, or they don't form part of their pride, just as a way of fighting them off their territory and making sure that their genes, their cubs, have that particular area and the resources in that area to be able to grow into successful territorial lions. Well, you wouldn't think so, looking at all of these sleepy lions and just how much they're enjoying this nap. Oh, look, we've got one touching each other's paws. I wonder if maybe that's a bit more comfortable for her. And it is quite funny. Often you will see lions sleeping on top of one another. Someone's foot will be in somebody else's face. But I think this is quite a hand-holding, almost look-alike. Very beautiful, guys. Seems like Scotty has managed to find more lions in the Mara, so let's go over to him and see which ones he's looking at right now.